Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make sausage and cheese balls. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make these, and it couldn't be an easier thing to make because there's really not much going into this. You're going to need a pancake waffle mix, which basically is the kind you mix with water or milk. We're going to need at least a pound of sausage, which I'm using mild. A block of cheddar cheese is what I'm using, which is basically enough to make 2 cups of cheese, and a fourth of a cup of milk. And that's really what we're going to be using in this. The syrup is an optional thing, which basically you can do this 2 ways. You can do this as a larger sausage cheese ball that you could dip into the syrup for breakfast, or we're going to turn these into smaller ones, which you could actually serve at a party, which means, they're going to be like bite size at that point. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a block of 8 ounces worth of cheddar cheese and we're going to shred it up. I prefer to shred mine myself rather than get it in a bag because the bag doesn't always melt so well. So if you do it with the block of cheese, it just does a better job. And basically one of these blocks, which is 8 ounces, is going to give you 2 cups of cheese, which is perfect for what we're doing here. So just go ahead, grate it up, make sure that everything is shredded into smaller pieces, because you just need kind of a small bit of this shredded up. It doesn't really take that much. When you're doing it and you're putting it in the sausage ball, it's going to melt down anyway into the sausage, so it doesn't matter if it's like minuscule when you shred it. Just shred it the best you can. Then we're going to take 16 ounces of sausage. Now mind you, you could easily use like a spicier sausage or something like that if you wanted to give these a little bit more of a kick. I went with mild just because that's my preference. You can use whichever you want. But at this time, if you're making these, you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees because these are actually going to bake for anywhere from like 20 to 23 minutes. So it's one of those things where you can put in the oven, and when it gets to almost 20 minutes, you probably want to check it and kind of keep an eye on it to make sure that they don't go too brown or they don't burn on top or something like that. So get your sausage into a bowl, and we're going to use something to break this up because we really don't want this large lump of sausage here that I have. So take a spoon, take a fork, whatever, break it into smaller bits before we start mixing other things into this, because it's easier to mix through once it's already chopped up and you add your other stuff to it. And we're going to go ahead and put our cheese in, which we're going to use the whole amount of the cheese, and just go ahead and dump that into there. And then once it's in, we're going to start mixing this up a little bit before we add anything else, just to start mixing through to get the cheese into the sausage, because there's a little effort here involved in actually getting these two to incorporate together. And then when you put in the pancake mix, it's even going to be a little bit more because you're going to have to get that powder into what we already have here. So we're going to mix this up, get as much of the cheese into the sausage as we can. And then we're going to add some milk to this, which the milk is like a godsend. It's going to help because if anything, it's going to make the sausage even more wetter. It's going to help the cheese, and it's going to make everything stick together. So just go ahead and work your way through this until you get it as mixed through as best you can. And then you're going to bring in a fourth of a cup of milk and just pour it over top. And then once that's in there, start mixing again, because we want to get this all through everything that's in the bowl at first before we add in the pancake waffle mix that we're going to use for this. Now when we get ready to add in the pancake waffle mix, you're going to need 2.5 cups of it. So we're just going to take it in there dry, just out of the package, no big deal, and dump it into the bowl, and then we're going to start working it into what we already have here. So you're going to probably want to pour in half of the dry mix, work it in, and then come back with the other half, just because it makes it a little easier to work with. So you could dump it all in at first, but it just makes a lot to actually have to incorporate in at one time. So go ahead and mix this through. And if you didn't preheat your oven, go ahead at 350 degrees, like I said, 20 to 23 minutes to cook these, and go ahead and keep working this in as we go. And one thing is really cool about this, once you get all of the powder in there and you get it all mixed through, you're going to know this is all really mixed, because it's going to become one solid color that it's going to be like a cheesy sausage looking thing, but you're going to know you got all that powder in, because we don't want any powder sitting around anywhere in this, because we want this all mixed through wet and ready to roll, because it's just better that way. You don't want to bite into a sausage ball and get a bunch of the mix inside of it that didn't get mixed through properly. So just keep on working this. And when we get ready to put this on our pan to use these, we're going to need some kind of pan to go in the oven, which I coat mine with aluminum foil and do some nonstick cooking spray. But you're also going to need like a cookie scoop, because I use that kind of keep the balls kind of a conform size. Because like if I'm making the larger ones that I want to dip into the syrup, I want all of them to be the same size when I'm going through it. But if I'm doing the kind to go for a party, I want smaller ones, so I use a smaller cookie scoop. So as you can see, all my is mixed together here now, and you can tell that, you know, all that white is pretty much just taking itself right into the whole mix. And we're about ready to put this onto our pan. So just make sure your oven's hot before you put these in, and we're gonna go ahead and scoop this. So I've got my pan, I've got my foil, and I've got my nonstick cooking spray. And I'm going to get ready to scoop these out. And what I do is I scoop it out, put it in my hand, and then roll the ball up really well. It just helps it hold together better, but it also kind of makes it more of a rounded shape. There's no jagged edges sticking out or anything like that. It just cooks as one round ball. And like I said, the ones that I'm doing are for the syrup. So if you were doing this for a party and you just wanted these to be like a party favorite, like people eating as they walk past, you make them a little smaller, so that way they're just basically one bite size. Because these are a couple of bites in it easily. And just go ahead and work your way through. Now, on these larger ones that I'm making, I got, I think, around 22 or more out of this. So when you're making smaller ones, if you're doing this to serve like for the holidays at a party or whatever, you could probably get it like maybe 30 or so out of these. And that's really cool, because that's a bunch to put onto a plate, you know, to put on a table for people to just, you know, have finger food or whatever. But just go through, take them, get them out of the cookie scoop, put them in your hand, roll them in a ball, and go. But this is one of those times where it's probably an advantage to have a couple different sizes of cookie scoops if you were using for the party size. But mine was a medium, and these are decent size when you roll them out. They're actually not bad at all. But this is great for breakfast if you just need something to throw out there for, like, you know, dip it in syrup and all. But this is what mine looked like once they came out of the oven. They do expand a little bit when they cook, because, you know, they got that flour mix in there for the pancakes and all. It's going to actually help it expand a little bit. But that's great, because it actually fills it up, makes it really solid, makes it great, and they're wonderful to eat. And then you can just serve them, if you're doing this for breakfast, to put them on a plate with like a little container with syrup in the center, and you just basically dip it and bite into it and you're good to go. But like I said, at a party, these are much smaller, and you could actually serve them on a plate or whatever. But I gotta tell you, these have the best taste to them, especially with the syrup. I was sold the minute I bit into one of them. It was just really amazing. And I think you just might like this if you give it a try. So whether you want to do it for breakfast or for a holiday thing for a table or whatever, this is really great. I think you just might like it. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.